Hey you, have you ever struggled? You did all this work in the morning to get ready, pick out the perfect outfit, finally, just to go to accessorize it and realize like things just aren't working the way you thought they should. Like technically those accessories worked with that outfit, but why don't they work on you? That's because accessorizing not only complements your outfit, but it also complements your body. So I have some quick and easy tips about picking the right accessories for your body shape. I have to say, I think my favorite accessory that has the most impact is necklaces. Necklaces are always around your neck, so they are always going with you wherever your outfit goes, versus other pieces of accessories, sometimes like a handbag, you might put it down. Now, the key to picking out a good necklace is remembering that where it ends is what it highlights. And then you need to know whatever your torso and your neck play into how it highlights. So for example, if you have a shorter torso like me, or even if you're petite, a really long necklace can overwhelm you. So a long necklace can be great for lengthening your torso, but you don't want it to be all the way down. So in general, for longer necklaces, I don't like them to go any longer than a hand above my belly button. I think it's super flattering, but it also gives room for my body to be lengthened underneath. That for me will highlight my waist, which is a nice area I want people to notice. On the flip side, if you have a longer neck, actually a long necklace could really elongate it. So having a shorter necklace with a longer neck can kind of break it up, especially if you're pairing it with a lower neckline. So for me, having a long neck and pairing it with a deep V like I am today, that can make my neck look super long, and then that paired with my short torso makes me feel like my neck and my torso are the same length. So by adding a shorter necklace right here, it helps break it up and make it so there's not just one big patch of skin going all the way down. Let's say you have a long torso and a long neck. If you're just wearing a choker with that, it might kind of cut you in two, but if you add a couple necklaces more underneath to break up your long neck and your long torso, that's a really nice way to break up the eye and kind of break up kind of all of your height that's going on up here. Now there are tons, and I'm talking Google it. There are so many guides to which neckline goes with which necklace. And I will say this because as much as I do kind of recommendations and guidelines style videos just like this, I'm not super into rules because I don't think they allow for the flexibility that allows you to express your personal style with the body you are living in. So on a pinch, they might be great. Don't let them restrict you. I love mixing, matching, and stacking, and I will link some of my favorite, very affordable stacking necklaces down below. All right, this next section is a video request I get so often, and I don't think I have enough to make an entire video about it, so here it is. Belts. Here's a couple things you should know about belts and your body type. The first one is that the advice that a waist belt will just bring in your entire look and make it all work, totally false. Some of us have body types where that actually doesn't work. And I think this is especially true of rectangles, because I see this advice a lot, that if you have a rectangle body shape, that if you add a nice thick waist belt, it gives you that nice hourglass look, which is true. But that actually doesn't work if you are a rectangle and a short torso, because many rectangle body types are actually short torsos, because literally your hips, actually these would be your ribs. Your ribs and your hips are pretty much sitting on top of each other, which creates a rectangle, but also it doesn't provide any space for a waist belt. Now, some of you might say, well, what if it's a really skinny waist belt? Well, I can really only fit a finger, maybe a finger and a half in between the two, and that's a really skinny belt, and it's gonna look really disproportionate to the rest of my body since I'm not super petite. So if you are longer waisted or you have a long torso, those kind of thick statement belts that go around your waist are gonna be great for you. Think about buckles. You can play with buckles, you can play with color. With that, I would also pick a waist belt that has some contrast. So if you wanted to do a black waist belt, you probably don't want to do an all black outfit. You could, it is definitely a look and is definitely a gorgeous look, but if you really want to show off the belt and your waist, have a little bit of contrast in there. But if you have a shorter torso, I really don't recommend waist belts pretty much at all. And if you really want to wear one, make sure it's soft and make sure it's the same color as the rest of your outfit. Something I like to do personally is have a thin belt on low to mid-rise jeans. The lower that belt is going to fall on wherever your rise is, the more contrast it can have. So if it's a more higher mid-rise jean and you want to have a little belt peeking through, if you're like tucking it in, totally fine, but I would just pick a belt that blends into your top. What that's going to do, if it blends into your top, it's going to lengthen your torso down, makes it look a little bit longer while still having that rise of whatever jean or pants that you're wearing. Now, the one piece of advice I'd say about belts is that you want to make sure it's balancing your shoulders. You want your shoulders to appear broader than your belt. And that's where being a rectangle can be a little bit tricky and why you're trying to create that hourglass. But you want the width of your belt to balance your shoulders. So if you have really broad shoulders, you can probably get away with a really thick waist belt, assuming everything else can fit into that. But if you have really broad shoulders and you pair it with a really tiny thin waist belt, it could make you appear even more broad shouldered. If you have more petite shoulders in general, I would try to find skinnier belts. All right, let's talk about earrings. Now I feel like earrings can sometimes be hidden by our hair. And I have no idea why I might think that. The key to your earrings is to balance the width and length of your face. So if you have a thinner face like I do, picking some earrings that have a little bit more roundedness, kind of maybe stick out a little bit further from your face, can kind of balance out some of that length. If you have a rounder face, then generally you want earrings that kind of more stay close. Think sleeker earrings that elongate your face. And I'm gonna touch more on that in a second, but the other trick that I have learned, and this is just more of a personal preference, like I think this is a thing, but I'm not exactly sure, is to find earrings, the most flattering, if you want the most flattering earrings for your body, is to find earrings that end right where your jawbone ends. So if this line from your chin that's going up all the way to your face were to continue up, that is where you want your earrings to end. What that does is it's going to keep lifting your face up this way versus weighing it down too much down here. You know, some of those chandelier earrings, some of them would come down here and then be really big here. I feel like that makes your jawline drop a little bit. And so if you want it to have that nice, really snatched jawline, then I think having earrings that end and kind of continue that line is a really flattering look. But just in the same way that you want to balance the width and shape of your face when it comes to picking an earring, you also want to pick earrings that balance in width and shape. To me, there's a very big difference between a large metal hoop earring with a very thin metal versus a kind of, let's say, medium size hoop earring that's really chunky, really thick. Those two are going to create very different looks despite they're both being round. The smaller one, the medium-sized one, is actually going to be a little bit more pronounced in its roundness, even though it is smaller than the longer one. And so because of that, some of the more traditional advice would be if you have a rounder face, not to pick hoop earrings, but I feel like hoop earrings are such a staple and a timeless classic, and there's so many different variations of them that I think you could pick a really cute hoop earring that maybe is just a thinner metal. Now, handbags, it is really helpful to know your vertical proportions, to know which bags to pick and how to wear them. And if you don't know what your vertical proportions are, I'll talk about that here in a second, but it all has to do with perspective. So if you have a smaller torso, a shorter torso, or if you're more petite, when you have a small bag, you want to have that right next to your body, whether it's a crossbody, whether it's one of those baguette bags or armpit bags, or you're carrying a clutch, carry it underneath your armpit. Keep it really close to your body, because next to your body, that smaller bag is going to look more proportionate. But if you have a longer torso, putting a shorter bag next to your longer body or your taller body, that is going to actually make the bag look disproportionate to the rest of you. So with smaller bags and longer torsos, I would recommend kind of carrying them in your hand, away from your body, styling them down here, creating a little bit of distance, which will kind of fit more into the whole aspect of your vertical proportions. And you've encountered this technically whenever you wear a crossbody bag. Wherever that hits on your body, which is usually around our hips, right? Wherever that hits, that's gonna be different for everyone. Like, have you ever had those crossbodies that hit so low, you're like, I didn't feel like this was low, like on the pictures online, but it's really long on me. Are you petite? If yes, that might explain it. If you're not petite, you're like, why is this so long on me? It might be because you have a short torso. So with a shorter torso, you're gonna want a shorter crossbody. Now, also with shorter torsos, kind of the opposite goes too. You don't wanna put larger bags underneath your arms. However, I hate that piece of advice. I've given it myself and I don't even listen to it. I need larger bags sometimes to carry the things I need to carry, especially when it comes to a laptop or work tote. Sometimes you just have to carry a bunch of stuff. And if I were to carry that away from my body, I would get really good arm strength. So when it comes to a larger bag, I would match it to your height and needs of like what you're gonna put in the bag as you can. I could say this about messenger bags too if you have a longer torso. If you put such a large bag on your hips when you have a long torso, it's really going to weigh you down and kind of make your legs disappear. So the reverse of that, if you have a longer torso, is a tote bag. Those will work great. You put them underneath your shoulder. They're right next to your body. Everything looks in balance. So I know I've been talking about vertical body shape a lot. If you don't know what it is, I have a video for you right here for you to watch. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I can't wait to see you over here and in my next video. Bye.